Welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for staying tuned to KTS. Remember, this is the Public Finance Trail, your favorite program coming on your screens every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Mr. Kiprono, before we went for a break, we said that the provisional ceilings are subjected to public discussions, which are then used to set the final distributions. Which provisional ceilings changed in the final thing?
Well, thank you. Like we said previously, the paper didn't have the ceiling, and that is the element that could give us a picture of what is changing, whether where is government shifting resources from one sector to another. But as Kongin mentioned about the priorities, that roads was a priority the current financial year, and then now we have water as a priority, and then agriculture comes second. Which is, I mean, those two elements were not there in the previous financial. There were 3, 4, 5 in terms of priority. But now, well, we can see the shift, changing of priorities, but we can't see the shift in terms of resources. What is changing? By what percentage is roads reducing? By what percentage is water increasing? So that now it's a priority. By what percentage is agriculture increasing? So that now it's a second priority. So we can't tell without the ceiling, because if the ceiling was there, we would have seen the percentage increases, reductions, at the rest. Yeah. So just to be to make this very clear is that without the ceiling, which is actually the most important thing, the CFSP is useless. Yeah. Let's call it useless. Actually useless. So this is the moment. This is the moment where we are discussing how much is going to health, and do we want more on health, do we want more on water, do we want more on road, and something like that, which the paper tries to do by giving us the narratives on what is changing in terms of water is going to be a priority, agriculture is coming second, but we don't understand why is water a priority. Is it because its resources is increasing or something like that? So this is the moment in the CFSP where we discuss about those priorities at the macro level. We're discussing which sectors gets more or something like that. But without the CFSP, we can't tell. We could be told, like, water is priority. But then when we don't see the changes in terms of resources, then we can't actually understand how water is priority. Yes.
But now, just as we put it, don't you think the failure of the county to allow you people discuss very crucial elements in the fiscal paper will compromise, especially the budgeting process within Uasin Gishu County?
Yeah, of course it does. There's a lot of implications. First is that without the ceiling, the paper is useless, like we said.
Sure.
And it's not just useless because, the paper is a requirement of the Public Finance Management Act, which is the law guiding the budget process. So if we are not discussing the resources at this point, then it's like we didn't discuss the CFSP. And anyone can challenge that in anywhere. Go to assembly and say that the paper being presented to assembly is actually null and void because we didn't discuss the ceilings. So it has a lot of implications. And if we start at this point, remember last year Uasin Gishu didn't have its budget during the deadline of June 30th. So we are also starting on the same footing that we started last year. Because if there were challenges over disagreements over this and that, then we are also here, disagreements between the government and public, like you didn't give us the ceilings to discuss. So the disagreements are already starting, and anything could happen. It's just that the people of Uasin Gishu I think they are very humble. They don't care much about that. But in other counties where people care about these resources or these discussions actually are very important, this kind of shoddy discussions could not be happening. Yeah.
Mr. Kongin, from our discussion, it's quite evident that the county fiscal strategy paper will be presented in the county assembly in the course of next week. What do you think? What are the crucial elements that you think the county assembly should give priorities to?
The county assembly of Uasin Gishu, just like any other county in the country, has 14 days to look at this document and approve to pave way for the budget estimates for financial year of 2016 and 2017. But first, just to point out the most important things of the discussion on the CFSP, it is at the CFSP level, it is a macro level. That is, you talk about the whole resource to sectors. You don't go to the details of what specific programs are going to be done within the sectors. So once this CFSP has been approved with the total amounts that are going to go to each sector, that is when now they'll go and do the budget estimates, which will be presented on April 30th, which will now go to the specific details of what will be done within the sectors. Like for example, if it is the health sector, after they've been given their ceilings, they'll now go and decide what the specific amounts are going to do within the sectors. How much goes to medical supplies, how much goes to the other elements of provision of health services. Like for example, in the other department, for example in education, they now go and decide what goes to ECD, how much goes to polytechnics. The agriculture sector can now go and decide what goes to livestock and what goes to agriculture, what normally is called crops. In Uasin Gishu they call it the agriculture sector. So whether they'll decide what goes to each of those subsectors within the departments. Yeah.
The other thing that Assembly will look at when approving the paper is the set of questions which the Assembly should ask while approving this paper. So there is we are picking these questions from a tool developed by our partner at the national level, the International Budget Partnership and other partners. So the questions helps public and also the assemblies to make sure that the paper meets certain requirements, or the paper meets the requirements of the Public Finance Management Act. And I'll just go through these questions briefly. So one of the questions the assembly should ask is, does my county CFSP discuss implementation progress? Does it give us information about what happened the first half of the year and the previous year, and how are we building from that to set our priorities? The other thing that it discusses is any changes within the current budget. Is there any supplementary, and why are we doing supplementary? What are the issues causing the budget revisions? For example, the reason for that is because the baseline is the current budget, and if it is revised, then it is like we are revising the baseline. Yeah. So we need to know what is the revised baseline. The other thing the CFSP is supposed to discuss is projections. So the assembly will ask, for example, does the CFSP give us projections for the next financial year, both in terms of revenue and estimates, and how are those revenue or projections linked to the performance of the first half and previous year? For example, if we set our target for this financial year, for Uasin Gishu is 1 billion shilling, and then what was the performance of the previous year? So you say, for example, it's 800 million. Now, what is the projection of the next financial year? So they say, for example, I looked at the CFSP and it's 1 billion again. So it's like the same. We are maintaining the same target. Okay. So it's like assembly will question, why are you maintaining the target? Especially when you did automate the revenue collection. That is with objective of actually increasing the revenue. So why are you still maintaining the target? So the executive will explain why they are maintaining the target. Maybe they feel like we are not going to realize the 1 billion this year, and why do they feel like that? The other thing that the CFSP will give is narrative of the county priorities. So Kongin said we have water. Why is water priority? Okay, is it because we don't have water? A lot of
actually
people,
that has been a problem.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a problem. But do we have data and information to support why do we want more water, and where do we want this water? Is it county-wide? Do we have what are the resources available in terms of dams within the county or something to supply this water and something like that? So it is. So the discussion that should be around why are we making this choice? Why are we putting water as a priority and agriculture comes second, and why are we removing roads from that to number 5? Is it because we've done our roads? Is it because our road network now is good and now we want to maintain or something like that? So the discussion the paper should discuss that. The other thing that the paper should do is provide the ceilings. So it's a table actually. It's a table showing like how much is going to which sector and what are the changes from previous year. And actually the previous year again. It's supposed to give us a good practice means that it's supposed to give us even 3 years performance. Like 2013, this was the performance for water sector. 2014, this was performance of water sector and health, for example, because we use that as an example. Then why are we shifting priorities now? So if last year or the current financial year roads is priority and we are shifting, we are shifting, we are pushing water and agriculture to be our priorities this year, then why are we doing that? And we need to see the changes. What is changing? Is money for water increasing, and why is it increasing? Something like that. So those are among the key questions. There are several other questions that Assembly could ask, but those are the key questions that Assembly should ask when approving the paper. And probably we could come back here after Assembly approves the paper and analyze whether this paper answers this question. Yes.
And gentlemen, as we wind up the program, last week in our show, we said that the budget policy statement was to be tabled on Parliament that very Monday, but unfortunately it didn't happen. What's the implication of that, especially to the county's implementation of the CFSP? Mr. Kiprono.
Thank you. Actually, there are a lot of implications to counties, especially right now. Counties have, from today, counties have like less than a week to table the ceilings or the CFSP in assemblies. But now it means counties are using draft estimates for the county share. The counties are using estimates, which is likely that Parliament, when it reaches Parliament, might be changed or something like that. There might be changes, and we don't know why it has not been tabled at this point. We don't know the changes that are happening before it's tabled in Parliament. So it is like counties will just proceed perhaps because they can't compromise the deadline of 28 because the PPS has not been tabled. Yeah. So they will not rely on that. They'll use the draft ceilings or provisions to do the CFSP and table in the assembly.
So one of the things that actually comes up because of what Timothy has just mentioned regarding the budget policy statement is if the counties have used the draft BPS to do their ceilings for the CFSP, then once the BPS has been approved by the National Assembly and there are changes from the draft to the final BPS, then it means that the counties will also have to go back to their ceilings the way it is in their CFSP and then revise it to fit with the allocations that they are going to get based on the budget policy statement. So if it was done well, if their CFSP went through public participation and all the priorities were set, then it won't be a challenge because they'll just be adjusting based on their priorities just to fit within the changes, and most of these changes are not actually going to be very major changes to the allocations to the counties.
Okay. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for always keeping us relevant in this program. Remember, this is the Public Finance Trade Program. For your comment, views and opinions, send them on the numbers on your screens and on our social media sites. My name is Regina Kinyolando and I've been with our host from the Career Center organization. Till next time, God bless you.